Hi, good evening, good evening, good evening. Soft welcome to the July Outlook. And we're going to get started in a few minutes' time, but as always, just going to give it a couple of minutes. And in fact, I started this a few minutes earlier so that we can actually get the forecast on the road once we hit the 9 o'clock mark. Okay? So a couple of minutes till then. So if you can help me, like, and more importantly, share this forecast to the people on your timeline, especially if you feel it benefits them, please do help do so. That is much, much appreciated. And then, of course, we will go into the details of the July Water Goat month in a bit. And I actually feel the transition has come in already. So usually when you look into the details of the days, those of you who are into Chinese astrology, you know some parts and all that, you know that the connection, of course, of certain animal signs on certain days, right? So that might bring in the energy of the following month, for example, earlier. Sometimes it might bring in the energy of the following year earlier as well, right? So I actually feel that the goat month has already arrived, even though it's officially only July the 3rd, and I think we're officially 4 days away still from the transition into the water goat month, right? So more on what we're already encountering and feeling now for the rest of the month all the way till the end of the water goat, roughly around the August 7th period, right? So very, very interesting, okay, month that wraps up, of course, the summer season, and this summer season is super hot and super powerful in many, many of the ways, yeah? But first, of course, if you've just joined me, I would encourage you, if you can, help us share out this feed, and then also if you can like my official public page, right? If you're watching from there, then it's where you're streaming from already, but if you're not, then if you can head down to my official public page and follow officially there, that would be good because it would be a metrics thing, right? So it's nice to have more followers. It's also useful in other perspectives. And most importantly, then you get notified and directly linked. And of course, the more you officially follow, that's the step one, then the more you, of course, actually follow through with the blog, the post, sorry, not the blog, with all the posts, the reels, and of course the special Facebook Lives like this monthly forecast, then the more you will also be linked in and notified, and straight away you will see whenever I post something new, right? So please do follow my official public page. And in the meantime, it is 9 o'clock, right? I'm just gonna refresh my page here, right? And then I get Nicole to refresh the official Jessie Lee page as well, right? And then we will take it from there, right? I will also, in case I forget, please remind me to, or maybe you can help me check the ST page also, right? Sometimes there are comments and questions there, and because we are monitoring mostly 2 of the public figure pages, so it's nice to miss that. So please do check into the ST page as well, okay? So let's get started into the official forecast, shall we? So I'm going to bring out the slides, but first of all, this is the imagery that I thought of, right, immediately when I was writing the Kui Wei forecast, right, because there's the written forecast as well. If you're linked to our email database, you will get that every single month as well, right? So this was the image I conjured up, and I thought it was very, very suitable because we recently were in Japan as well, and we managed to visit an area called Mount Aso, which is basically what they call a caldera, which is a crater that was formed by the collapse of an erupted volcano, right, many thousands of years ago, right? So, and when I was thinking about the analysis for the Kui Wei, the water goat month, then this imagery came to mind as well, right? Basically a crater, which is of course hot and fiery underneath, and then on top of us there's this evaporated steam, right? So it is a very, very powerful energy, right, contained in Kui Wei, especially existing within this summer and then existing within the Yi Si year, the wood snake year, in preparation for Ping Wu, which is the fire horse year coming right up. So there's a connection there as well for this summer season into the very, very powerfully fiery years to come in the next 2 years, yeah? So this is the imagery, yeah? So let's bring up the presentation material. And when we do that, hi Shirley, back in this part of the world, right? It is always good to have you here, right? Revving up all the parties and all that. Mei Chan, evening to you. Molly, good evening to you as well, right? And I'll just quickly click into this so I have a reference on my public figure page also. Okay, so hi to Benedict, who's watching from there, right? So, and speaking of my public figure page, in case you just joined me, well, number one, if you can like and share this particular forecast out on your timeline, that would be great. And number two, if you can officially follow me on my public figure page also, that would be very much appreciated, as well as the best way to get linked into every single post, every single reel, and then also every single Facebook Live that I do. All right. Big thanks, of course, to Nicole for the support as always, technical and plus a lot more. Jesse, as well, I said hi. Big thanks to my partner, right, for everything overall, and whoever else is watching. Yeah. So, Water Goat Month concludes the summer season officially, but a couple of things. One is that the summer season is very fiery, right? For reasons that I've already shared when we started the summer season 2 months ago for the Metal Snake Month. And number two, with the Renwu, the water horse as well, which there will be a bit of a recap because horse connected to goat. Right, so that's why it's good to understand, especially the cusp of the year, the mid-year, and then also the end year as a pair always, yeah? And then now we are, or have unofficially arrived, but officially we will arrive at the Water Goat Month in a few days' time, right, on July the 3rd. So this is the so-called last official month of summer, but the fire energy here is not only really still very strong, even though we have water on top. So that's the beauty of the yin-yang balance, right? So whenever we see in the core, how to say, vertical and also horizontal axis, right? So that means the top and the bottom, water and also fire. And then, of course, on the sides as well, east and west, metal and also wood. So when we are at those points, it is very powerful. And we have to look into the extremities of these two. So in a very fiery year, right, in anticipation of the core peak fire of next year and the year to come, then we see that, of course, there is the importance of acknowledging that there is the depths of water as well, right? So this is a little deep. It's beyond just surface or beginner metaphysics, but it's something to think about because especially with water and fire, right, number one, right, they coexist in a balance, right, ideally, right? So that's why seeing the water in June peak out and then follow through with July as well is very significant in the ways that I've already explained a lot in the June forecast. By the way, all Facebook Lives now have a shelf life of only 1 month officially before they are taken down by Facebook. So that's why instead of being able to view back the previous forecast months in retrospect, that means you can view it later, you can view it 1 or 2 months down the road. Now, we can't do that anymore, right? So that's why, again, I encourage you to be able to get caught up, right, on a monthly basis as early as possible, because when you are able to anticipate the energies, that's when you will be able to also be able to strategize, and more importantly, if you are connected into any form of metaphysics, especially what is defined as heaven luck and which is deciphered through tools like I Ching, tools like Bazi, right? Any other forms of astrology, when you establish a connection to this universal energy and universal force, of which the coded version allows us to read astrological charts, then you also be connected to the energies faster as well, right? So those of you who've experienced it, you know what I mean. But if you're newer to metaphysics, that actually really happens, right? So that's why it's good to be as prepared as early as possible. Now, the last month of the summer season officially this year, that's very powerful. We'll talk about more in coming up. But I also want to quickly share that the summer fire energy extends a lot longer, right? At least a couple of weeks longer than it normally does. Because when we move from fire to metal, right, it goes directly through to the metal energy of autumn. And that's why, as well, there is a significance of the end July to early August dates, which I will also be emphasizing. But just a quick heads up. In August itself, because again of the configuration of the wood on the metal of the monkey, it's a wood monkey month, right? We see that the fire is prolonged, right? Because of the fact that we have the ingredients of fire there, prolonging a normally abrupt transition of summer into autumn. So that's going to happen as well when we spill into the few weeks of August. So that's why it's very, very important to understand it for this particular summer season, moving into the autumn season, right? Fire energy is strong, very, very, very strong. And at the same time, it will last longer into the month of August, much more so than any other year as well, right? But more about the Kueh Wei itself, the pillar, right, in isolation, right? So this is a pillar that is commonly seen or a lot of times also viewed as a mirage of some sort, right? So because it is the same sort of like imagery as if it is a mirage in the desert, because of course Wei is hot earth, right? And then the water that's yin water on top, Kueh, is actually like a vapor that's on top. So overall, it's like the mirage that you are in the desert. So you will see a certain figure, and then after that, when you actually go to it, the reality is gone, right? The mirage, the visual, the image that you see there is actually not really there. And that's very significant for understanding the imagery and hence the energy of this month itself, right? So what you see may not be what is the truth. What you see may be only one particular aspect. What you see might be a temporal perspective. So there are all of these to keep in mind as you experience the month itself. Right, so use that as a self-check. So I share that with you first because it's contained within the imagery of just the Kueh Wei, the water goat itself, right? What more when you start to layer the interaction of the water goat with the other aspects such as the annual wood snake, right? So that's why, okay, water on top is Kueh, is yin water like vapor, like the imagery of the background image, right? That is the official image of this particular forecast. And then in the way, of course, the goat, it is predominantly, of course, is yin earth, which is Qi earth, and it's hot because it is containing Ting fire, and Ting fire, of course, is a continuing energy, the core summer energy that is also carried into the goat from mainly the horse month itself in June. And then, of course, what keeps the fire burning and this cycle of heat inside it, right? It's like an oven like that. It's like a crater, volcanic crater, for example, is because it contains also a trace of wood, right? So wood to produce fire, and then of course it makes the earth even hotter, right? And then just like any other third month of every season, so this goat is of course a checkpoint as well, right? It's officially called a storage, a graveyard, and importantly is the last month of the season officially, right? So that's why it is deeper. For a simple term, right? You have to approach every Earth month in a way that as deep as you can and try to understand what each season has been trying to teach you. That's very important so that then you can start, in a way, the new season afresh. That's how important these check months are, right? So, and then the goat, of course, has some significance in terms of what it means in terms of its check month, right? And how we can best maneuver it. So the image, of course, a couple of things, right? So first thing, of course, the image of the mirage, the illusory quality, and then the hot baked sort of a feeling, sort of like a lot of the weather that we experienced this past couple of months in like Malaysia, and I think a lot of places as well, Singapore, Thailand, and all that, right? So it's a very baking, uncomfortable, pressurizing sort of a heat. Okay, so that's why we have to be able to release this pressure in which way and which best ways. So we'll find out more, right, once we understand more of the goat month and how it interacts with the other key energy pillars as well, right? So goat, of course, is the end of summer fire. So key thing about summer fire is fire energy, and fire energy, of course, is the only agent of transformation that is able to allow us to do alchemy. So that's why a lot of the alchemy that we want to focus on, okay, the magic that we want to create, the inner transformation that we want to undergo is best done during this summer season, the middle of the year, right? Because for the very simple reason that summer fire energy is the strongest, right? And fire is the only chemical, the agent, right, that is allowing this, and it's the only one that is able to manage the other elements and be able to reshape and transform all of it, right? But this month, of course, because it's the goat month, so of course the Earth is also a dominant element, if not even more dominant, right? So that's why it's more hard-baked earth. And hard-baked earth, just the image of that, the energy is very dense, it's very compact. That's why it's very pressurizing on one perspective, and it can be very difficult to crack through. So that's why we feel the pressure, but we're supposed to crack through the pressure, and then ideally we're supposed to transmute it, transform it, obliterate it. So that is the task, right? And obliterating Earth, of course, is not so simple and not so straightforward, shall we say, right? Unless we can be very strong about it and keep it simple, so then it just becomes a test of our will, right? And our willpower and our desire to change, right? So this already said, right? Grey water appearing on top of the hot Earth or the goat per se, right? It's like a mirage. And of course, the grey water is easily gone. It's of course image-wise, it's vaporized, right? But any extra heat will just completely, again, obliterate up the water. So there's something to keep in mind as well. That's why water is a key ingredient, right? Also during this particular time, yeah? So, and how is it important? So we'll talk about it more as well in a bit. But just a quick recap, remember, always in context of the year, because the year is the key energy. So when we talk about cycles of time, right, the effects of time, right, the annual energy Tai Sui is the most important in terms of pushing our soul growth. That's why everything correlated back to the year, and the year, of course, is read in many different ways. Yeah, but the key thing to keep in mind is that the Yi Wood is there as a energy of heaven, because it's a heavenly stem of the year, and it is there for the entire year, and because the heavenly stem is a gift from heaven. So mastering this and accepting this and be able to maximize this. So last year, Jia Wood, Yang Wood. This year, Yi Wood, Yin Wood. Next year, Ping Fire. Right? Maximize what that element means to you personally, if you can correlate it to your day master, for example, and then also what its generic qualities are. So for example, Yi Wood is what? Right? Sideways growth. Creative, how to weave out of the box. So it's out of the box thinking, right? It's also showy, because Yi Wood is a show person, right, generally, and so on and so forth, right? So that's why how do you maximize the Yi Wood this year remains a theme for you to be able to capitalize on the gift of heaven for the entire year. So never neglect it, because there's so many layers of astrology, and many people approach astrology differently in terms of what they immediately want from it. But if you go for the long run, then the deeper you go, the better it is, right? Then the Tai Sui, the animal sign itself, brings in, of course, the core lessons to be learned in the form of challenges if we have not mastered those lessons. And then after that, once we do know what it is about and we have mastered the lesson, then most of what happens are purely opportunities. So that is a quick recap of that. Then, of course, the snake itself, characteristic, isn't it? So it has a ability to transform, right? Magical. It can do this, it can do that, right? Not many animal signs have a very opposite sort of ability to do that. And of course, it fits with the imagery of the snake overall, because it's the second portion, of course, of the inner transformation of the portal of the dragon snake, right? Crossing over Sun Qua, etc., etc. So I've talked a lot about that in the past couple of months. So today will be less on that. Jesse has been talking about it over and over again, and probably will make reference to it during the Navigating Mid-Year talk as well on July the 12th, right? But that's the ability of the snake to do that, and at the same time, the core energy of it in providing healing through transformation, transformation that comes with the triggers of the 5 poison and so on and so forth, right? So that's the power of the snake. And when we work with it, then we have the ability to not only work on personal alchemy, inner healing, but at the same time be able to take control over how we want to use the energy, right? Because the snake has the ability to like I said, like help propel the growth of and unfolding of things to come, right? Because in the snake contains the seed of Keng metal, Yang metal. Yang metal is the raw material of fruition of the results that we want to achieve, right, in the next 5 years or so. So this year allows us to do those tweaks, those adjustments. That's the core energy, I would say, of what the snake allows us to do, provided, of course, we heal as much as we can, right, through the triggers of the 5 poisons. So that is the snake itself, and understand that whatever happens and whatever you're trying to do to maximize each and every single month, ideally keep the snake, the wood snake specifically in mind, right, in terms of your goal, so that you have something to anchor down in terms of your desire, what you want to achieve, and things like that, right? Keep Tai Sui in mind, in other words. So a quick hi to Bo, right? Bo, since you said hello there, okay, hi to you, right? So remember to check your emails, right? Because I remember there were a couple that I did send, so maybe you have overlooked those. And then because we'll also be touching base soon on the rest of the year for Patsa Premium as well. Hi to Excensia Metaphysica. Is that, who's behind that? I can't really remember. Let me know, right? And of course, Agnes is with us as well on the page here, right? So please do like and share in case you've just joined me in the past 5 to 10 minutes, this particular feed, so that we can get more people live on board as we talk about the outlook for the Water Goat month, yeah? But as I'm talking about the Water Goat month, so we're going to quickly just do a very quick recap of the June Water Horse, because goat and horse are one pair, right? And the magical pair of the years which are coming up in 26 and also 27, 2026 and also 2027. So previous Water Horse month, which is now expiring, okay? So water and horse, right? Again, the presence of both of these key ingredients together is again a gift. Because when we talk about the polarities, right, having both of these polarities exist, especially in the peak of the fire season, is actually a very, very good sign. So I spoke at length about this, but overall, even though they're some to some extent clashing officially in terms of the elements, but I see it more of a complementary balance. So that's why it's very, very good. And because they also hiddenly combined, right? Ren water and Ting fire, Yang water and Yin fire is also a pair of the heavenly stem combinations. 2-1 to produce wood. So this is also quite harmonious, even though on one layer of the energy is going to clash. Right, so that's why there are many layers of it. So how do we make it harmonious? Then of course we have to be able to work swiftly with the energies. One of it, of course, is to encourage as much as possible the combination of wood, because when we have that, then we have the flow generally of wood producing fire, right? In terms of the month, June, Water Horse, in relation to the year 2025, Wood Snake. So because the horse, of course, will combine with the snake as well to produce fire. So that's why you have a nice flow there of water, wood, and also fire. And any additional wood energy that is triggered in combination with the yin wood that's already present in the year, all throughout the year, that gives us the totality of the wood energy to be able to combust more. So more wood, the fire is of course brighter. And fire, again, it is very much needed, right, to do whatever that you want to do, to create whatever you want to create, from as mundane and as basic a fire characteristic as giving us the power and the motivation to continue, to drive things through, the driving force, right, through igniting that ignition of fire and keep us going and all that, right, to the fact that it is the only agent that's able to change, right, to move something, to transform the quality, to transform the state of something into something else. So if you want to basically do anything, you need fire. Because you want to achieve something, you need fire. You want to close some sales, you need fire. You know to hit your target, you need fire. So that's why it is so important to treasure it and to make full use of it, right? What more if you are trying to, in a way, create things to your desire? That means you manifest as much as you want, and to be able to be the magician to do as much manifestation as possible. Fire is the ingredient that's necessary, yeah? Quick hi to Chris Koo. Of course, Eleonora, yeah, that's you, is it? Okay, from Mexico. So now we're talking about the water goat itself, right? So when we talk about the water goat, then of course the water is on top. Now wait, so in this case, yes, water still feeds wood. So we talk about the stem of the month relation to the stem of the year, because like I said, the heavenly stem of the year is a gift from heaven. So outwardly, you still have that in supporting, right? Supporting the wood energy per se. So the stem of the Kueh water can still support the growth of the wood. So that's one layer. Then at the same time, okay, the goat being the last summer animal, and then of course the snake year itself being the first summer animal, right? The first animal sign of fire. It can still combine, right? And of course, the key here is that we want to do both, right? We want to be able to obliterate and incinerate the earth as well. Because if not, it will just be fire producing earth, stacking the earth. At the same time, the goat already comes with earth. So imagine you have a lot of earth and then you are still producing earth, you're stacking on top of it, and then at the end of the day, fire is still there because the fire earth energy is appearing together. Then what you get is what? A pile up of the earth energy, which is getting bigger pile, increasing in terms of quantity, and then getting harder and more compact. So harder and compact again means what? More stuck blockages, more stagnation, more attachments. So that is how it will naturally operate if we don't take control over it. Right? So what we want to do instead, right, is we want to use the fire and heighten the fire so much, then the fire, number one, outwardly it can do what we want it to do. We want to create, right? We want to push through something. We want to persuade people. We want to get them to change their opinion, change their mind, change their position. All of this requires fire. So that's good. We can use it all on that perspective, yes. But if we do not address the piling earth, that is the problem, right? Because the lesson of the month comes with the earth already there. That means appearing in the shape and form of attachments, blockages. Blockages due to what? Material constructs, an overpile of material attachments or obligations, right? So a lot of people, for example, extend themselves when times are good, and then they find that when the economy is a little shaky, especially for 2025 it is, and it's just going to kind of get worse, right, for the rest of the year. Then you find that the overextension, right, then it becomes a problem now because you had attached yourself, you had locked yourself up into debt, for example, whatever schemes and all that. And now the pressure is on because that attachment is now a very strong blockage. And then some people, of course, it may not be a construct like that. It actually could be a pile-up of material things. In our own energy bodies, physical bodies, it could be a pile-up of stuck energy, right? Stagnation in terms of qi. All of this is earth blockages. So our key call here for the month is to be able to know this, feel it, and then, of course, address it. So in element terms, we want to incinerate the earth instead. So we're using the interaction between the goat and the annual energy of the snake, and we want to then push fire out and use that fire to combust and remove the fire of the goat, the earth of the goat. That's one level. And at the same time, of course, simultaneous, because things will happen both ways, right? Fire will produce, fire is fire, but fire will also produce earth at the same time. Then we take control of the fire element and we produce the new earth in a productive way. But the first lesson is that we have to obliterate the existing stagnant earth energy, right? And this, of course, will be heightened in charts which, of course, have other earth animal signs, for example, right? And anything that basically keeps the earth, traps the earth even more, okay? So with this, right, this month I want to share the understanding more of the shadow energy of the month itself. So every pillar, of course, will come with its combined pillar. So if you have a combination, if you take a pillar and you look at the combination of the heavenly stem, right? So for example, previously we spoke about the heavenly stem of Ren water, Yang water. So its combination pairing is, of course, yin fire, Ting, right? And then with the combination to produce wood. So in this case, similarly, right? So what is the combination element to Kui or yin water? It is, of course, Yang earth or Wu earth. So that's the shadow heavenly stem. Then each animal sign, of course, has a combined direct partner as well. In this case, it is goat with horse. So that's why this cusp is extra important, right? The combination of animal signs going on between each of the two animal signs, so there are 6 pairings altogether, right? But at the cusp, north and south, top and bottom, rat, ox, and also the goat and the horse, these are the most important one. Then, of course, the next 2 would be the side cardinals, right? But out of the picture for now. So it's important to know and to know this, that's one. And this month, it's important to be cognizant of this because it is more important, shall we say. Why? Because, okay, horse and goat. So this is the sun and moon combination, right? So it can either, moon combination produce more earth. So we want to have the ability to do it in a productive way, in a way that fits what we envision, instead of automatically producing something that is going to impede and stagnate us, which is going to happen if we are not aware and if we don't take control of this. Then second of all, we want to use the opportunity to use the fire and magnify it as much as we can until it becomes this big hot incinerator, right? The heat is like, I don't know how many thousand degrees, okay? It's super hot. You throw anything into it, it all just combusts and burns away, okay? So that's the process we want to undertake, so that we obliterate the existing blockages and stagnation that is carried in the earth of the goats, right? So that's why we want generally to take the sun and moon combination. Sun, of course, produces fire. Moon produces earth, right? So we want to use the sun combination in a productive way, and to obliterate the earth, okay, that's existing in the goat. And then we want to use the moon combination, which produces earth, to produce new earth. That is, new constructs, new things that we want to come to initial materialization, right? So that's the promise and the opportunity that we have as well, right? Take that to produce the earth in a productive way, right? So both tales happening at the same time, right? So, and how is this enabled? This is enabled because the shadow energy is also wanting to produce fire. Now, this is only because it's Kuei water. Because if it's something else, of course, right, it can be any of the other four elements, right? And it will not work this way. The combination will not work that way. The shadow energy will not give us the opportunity. At the same time, it's not possible, right? So any other of the four heavenly stems appearing, except for Kuei water. So water is, strangely enough, right? If we don't understand the nuances and the depth of all of this, then we will think water is going to impede fire, all right? Or water is going to be purely evaporated with all the strong fire energy, which is not entirely true, which is not entirely wrong either, right? But this water then means what? So water, of course, at its core, especially yin water, right, is all about the elixir of life, right? It is the only agents out of the five elements that is connecting between elements in the universe, right? So for example, planet Earth, right, with the outer space into our solar system, even into beyond into our Milky Way, right? So the water element, and that's why it's so fascinating for scientists to study water, because water is always the elixir and source of life. To study this availability of it in its forms, different forms outside of planet Earth, because that is the way that people will correlate. There will be life in this part of space, this sort of planet outside of Earth, only if we find a trace of water. So it's what I call the universal elixir connection. So if you look at it, the quality of water at a higher level, right? So it's the one that makes growth possible, makes life possible, and it makes things possible, right? It makes magic possible, right? Because it links every cell and molecule of us into what is possible out there in the cosmos. That's how I view the water element, right? At its highest, sort of higher level, right? At the same time, of course, those commonly other associated with the characteristics, right? So of course, wisdom, intelligence. That's why this wisdom and this intelligence is the part that also makes us conscious of overall consciousness in the universe, right? So we are here, and then we're connected to the outer space, and then we have our soul is connected to the sun, right? And then our ability to connect with each other, and even beyond that. So beings on Earth with beings outside of Earth, for example, this is all gelled together by this magical elixir called water, right? Then, of course, like I said, the more mundane properties, wisdom, quick adeptness, agility, and all of this, right? Which, yeah, they all are part of the water element. So the more we exude these aspects of the qualities of water, the more we're able to then try to take this combustion into our own hands, right? Because again, Wu and Kuei is a fire combination. But it, again, if you look about in terms of the 5 sets of heavenly stem combinations possible, it is sort of like, it requires you to believe. It requires you to think out of the box. How do you get mountain earth, which is Wu earth, combusting with water, and suddenly, poof, it's fire, right? So that's why this illusory quality is magnified. Because we already talked about Kuei Wei, yin water, goat as the pillar of like a mirage, one of the imagery, right? But now when we combine together with the Kuei and the Wu together, and it's supposed to yang earth, water, poof, it's something beautiful. It's a vision. It's a picture. It is fire, right? And the mountain is gone, the earth is gone. And earth, of course, is the quality of the two aspects of it. From the yin aspect, we want to get rid of it, right? So that we are lighter and we can ascend more. And then on the yang quality is that we want to be able to produce it in the way that is new. So it's not adding on blockage, it's not adding on stagnation, but now it is what we want to create that we don't have yet, right? So that's the yang quality of the earth that we want, right? But if we talk about the former, which is how we want to obliterate away the earth, then of course this significance of the yang earth on top is very important, because in the combination of yang earth reacting with Kuei water, that's exactly what happens. It goes poof, and then the earth is gone, and then it's like, instead, you get a new sort of scenery or image that's formed. That is the combination that we want to ignite, ma. So that's the way actually to obliterate the earth. It is to be able to have, for example, just give a few examples, a different perspective to looking at things, right? Because we see a certain image as mountain, then now we want to be able to see something else where the mountain is no longer there. So a shift of perspective is needed, right? A new way of looking at things is important, right? The ability to not be stuck and 死板, right? To only see what we see directly in front of us and to open up our eyes sideways. That's also how to see bigger or to change perspective. So those are going to be the key to how we can obliterate the heaviness of the stuck energy. So in which ways are you looping, right, in your life? And it's the same old, and not only is it the same old, but it is causing you to stagnate. No growth, because the opposite of earth is wood, right? Wood and earth are in a counter, right? So that's why when we have growth, then we have less of the earth element, right? When we have stability, then we have less growth, right? So in this case, when we are trying to grow more, so we need to lessen the earth, as just in terms of the simple metrics there, right? So that's why anything that impedes growth is earth as well. It doesn't just have to be like literally a pile of earth, right? It's a concept. The energy is always beyond its 3D manifestation, right? So that's why, right, those will be the keys to how to see things a little, that we will need to be able to crack out of the stagnating earth that is holding us back, like in general, right? So use those to how you can, so that you are able to view the triggers of the pressure, right? So the feeling that we will get, the trigger that we'll get is pressure. Well, under pressure for deadlines, under pressure to perform, under pressure to produce results, being pressured, being forced into certain positions that is uncomfortable for us, right? So those are the pressure that's from the earth element. So then what we want to do is to alleviate and lighten and loosen up and ideally transmute and obliterate all of this earth so that we become free from it and lighter from it, okay? Incinerate all of it. That's the power of the month itself in gifting us. But don't forget, the other key ingredient is the water, because the combination needs that water, which is not straightforward in the element sense, right? Because water would, lessen the strength of fire, isn't it? But not in this case, yeah? We need the water as well as an agent for this obliteration. That's how weirdly, magically beautiful it is. So that we can have the Wu Kui combining together. Because you cannot have the Wu Kui combination without the Kui, right? So that's why that seed of the water, the Kui water, the yin water that is coming with the goat is also key to how we can lessen the earth, loosen it, move, let us release ourselves from stagnation, release ourselves from attachment also. Okay? So Christina says a volcano. Yeah, overall, yes. Okay, but I don't see so much lava, right? That's flowing at the bottom. So it's almost like it's more of the fact that it's the mountain with the fire that's blazing, not so much with lava. I don't know if you kind of can see that, but yeah, okay, there's definitely one imagery of it. The Agnes, yes, see a bigger picture. I don't even think it's see the big picture. See a bigger picture. That means whatever that we think that we get a view and we are judging and it's right in front of us, right, there is probably a larger perspective to things. Right? So we can already be looking at the big picture, but we might be missing the sides, for example. Right? So that's more like that. Then we will be able to, in a way, just a shift of perspective could possibly shift your mind, your mindset, that something is no longer a hindrance, right? Because you don't have to physically remove the blockage of the earth, right? Sometimes it's just that. It's just a different, fresh perspective to things that completely just uplifts you, completely releases you to be freer, for example. Okay? So now, of course, combine the month with the shadow, which I just talked about, and then, of course, stacking back the wood snake year, because that's key, right? We have to correlate it back there, right? So overall, you see basically an inferno of fire is possible, right? But it may not be, or it might be weaker or stuck if the earth is overwhelming, right? So if the earth is overwhelming, then you won't have it as an opportunity so much. Generally, it will seem more like you have to deal with whatever stagnation, lack of growth that have become obstacles, causing us to be in a position of being bullied, for example, because that's how bullying punishment is exacerbated or triggered or activated. At the same time, also maybe doing things which are lacking growth, but we just feel that we need to do them, right? Like being stuck in a very unproductive routine or a very unproductive habit, for example, right? Because we're unable to release the earth enough. Right? So we won't be able to work with the magic of fire in its creative sense, in the way that it's able to design new things for us. Okay? So that's why, again, it's a very classic example of how if we did not do the work in June, the water horns, right, then we will have a bigger pile up in July. Because that's how it always works, right? We did not do or did not capitalize or did not maximize or did not use the previous energies productively, so we will have more things to deal with in the following month. So this is one very, very good example of it, more so than any other month's transition, okay, overall. Yeah, so if you've just joined me, thanks so much. This is the July outlook, July forecast, right? So if you can help me like and more importantly, share out this feed, that will be really good before we move on to the last third of it, roughly, okay? So now, I always like to share in a little bit of the Western astrology part of it, not to read charts, but to understand planetary transits in its more a direct manner. Because when we refer to Chinese metaphysics, a lot of it is calendar-based. And the calendars are codified already, right? So we refer to the 10,000 year calendar and so on, right? And they are, for good is that because they are marked down in the calendar, so we use them as easy reference. But there will be some things that we can't see from the calendar that now, thanks to science, astronomy, and also thanks to the internet and AI, we're able to now pinpoint movement of planets. And because actually all these 5 elements and all this energy is correlated to the world out there, the greater universe, right? So that's why now we have an additional way and to add perspective to the studied knowledge which Chinese metaphysics tends to be more predicated on, and not so much into actually observing the stars in the sky. Okay, so but that's why, okay, I find this very useful and I share, and I hope you are able to use that additional layer of information, right? So there are a few 3 points that I've basically summarized it as. First of all, there's an overall feel, a heightened feel of re-examining our new desires and paths, right? Whatever that you've embarked on, and some of us are still holding on to a lot of the past, have a little bit of a future that we want to work on, right? And some of us have completely released things that we did 5 years ago and all that, and have embarked on a new path, right? So even better, because you're capitalizing on a new start of a 20-year period 9, with fresh energy, right? Generally, that's better than halfway, or a little bit fresh, and then the rest of it is still the same old, right? But whatever it is, we have certain levels of new desires and new paths that we want to go ahead. And now is the period to look closer into it, and at the same time be able to examine it. Because we have what? We have Mercury, right? Mercury is the smallest orbiting planet around the sun, which means that it is the nitty-gritty. It's about immediate connection. It's about the words that I use, the communication, the gestures that I share, so that you understand my message, and thus it's the linkage of energy. That's related to what? Anything to do with relating to, connecting to, and all that, water element, right? So that's why I view water element as that, the linkage, right, between energy in general, okay? Energy bodies and so on and so forth. So that's why the sign of Mercury being in Leo, okay, is also, right, about Leo per se is the sun, okay? It's also related to Sirius, the spiritual sun per se, but in the very least, it's our sun that's in the solar system. And this is all about our soul growth, our soul evolution, and the path of our soul moving ahead in this imagined linear time that we exist, that we think we exist in. Okay, so Mercury can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be in Leo, but now it is in Leo, all right? And it's about to go retrograde. I'll talk about that in the next slide. And at the same time, we are in Leo season, right? About to be, okay, when we cross into the second half of the month from July 22nd, okay? Then the sun is in from Cancer, which is the current positioning and also the Western astrology sign. It will go into Leo also, which marks the time of the year because the sun's movement is the solar calendar, and the solar calendar is what gives us the ability to divide it into 12, right, and assign each animal sign and the progression that way. So similar, right, to Western astrology. The sun's movement will define the season and hence the horoscope and hence the month of the year and hence the month of the birth for each horoscope chart overall, right? But it does not always have to correlate with Mercury being in there. But it is, right? So now we have the linkage planet in the same sign as our soul path, our soul growth, our soul evolution. So that's important. Then it retrogrades. So every time something retrogrades, it means it gives us an opportunity to look back, look closer, look deeper, reassess. So that's why that's the theme of it. Then at the same time, what else is retrograding? Speaking of retrograding, right? We have the planets which are new in a brand new horoscope progression. Okay, right? Because the Western horoscope ends with Pisces and starts with Aries. And we have two planets which have recently transited from that last part of the horoscope into the first part, which means you're supposed to have learned the full cycle of the lesson just like any other astrology, and then after that you start afresh, hopefully at a higher level, right? And then of course the sad news is that a lot of human beings actually don't. They just get stuck in the same cycle over again, not ascending to the next level, right? But assuming we have ascended to the next level, okay, in our own extent, then we have now a brand new start. Okay, so that's the two planets that we have, Neptune and Saturn. Right? Saturn is the day-to-day life on Earth, influence that takes us commitment, responsibility to build. So like for example, a simple one is always career. How we build a career, how do we establish our own social standing? What do we do? Who are we to society? So those things all take a longer time to craft out, right? And that part is associated with Saturn. So that's why Saturn is seen as, if we don't work with it, we don't put in the discipline, the commitment, and the responsibility to shape something, we will be causing maybe short-term gains, but long-term blockages to ourselves. So Saturn, that's why in some very old-fashioned way of looking at astrology, is always seen as the planet of blockages, but it's not, right? It's just the discipline and the commitment that we need to take to craft something long-term. So that's Saturn. And then Neptune is overall our meaning of life, right? The spirituality that we connect to as individual souls and so on. So that tend to be a further out planet. And these two already have transited in the past few months, right, from end of March onwards into Aries, which means it's a brand new start. It's a brand new start of building something long-term new. It's a brand new start about looking into how we address our spiritual selves and so on. So now this goes into retrograde. And remember, every time something goes into retrograde, it just means it takes a deeper, closer look, a sort of a reassessment. So that's the nutshell to the top portion there, re-examining our new desires and paths that we already have started on, but now we look into the finer details, or we go, oh, wait, let me consider something. Oh, looks like something has come up, triggered and activated and come up to my life, right? I need to look closer into what it means so that I can adjust my course. So speaking of adjustment, so this is now exciting, right? Now whatever lah, right? You don't follow Western astrology and you think all of this is a lot too much information for you. Just bear in mind that we have a new planet that gives us the ability to connect to the energies of period 9, which is where we are now, and it's gone into a new magical place, okay? And this is basically Uranus, the bottom one, okay? So Uranus is the planet that is all about shocks and surprises and quantum leaps. So of course, when we are unable to deal with it positively, then it will be shocks and surprises, that's it, which are normally unpleasant. But if we have a way that we flow with life, then we tend to take these shocks and surprises in a more positive way, so that's one, right? But at the same time, it is these big shocks and immediate shifts that can give us the ability to leap by leaps and bounds. Right? So that means if it's in your control and you're capitalizing on the energy, then you can make quantum leaps. Your life is like this, now I want to leap into this. Right? You've been doing whatever, breakthroughs and so on and so forth. You've been using all of these activations and embracing them open-mindedly, because again, when it comes to the subject of activations, sometimes we may not be as open-minded because the activation comes with some trouble, right? Problems cropping up, right? Obligations, more work, more responsibility, more energy required, but that's what activations do. They shake up energy, right? So if you are already positively embracing all of this and also have been making big personal breakthroughs, then why not take the energy of the Uranus now moving into Gemini, right? Gemini is related to the planet Mercury, and Mercury is the planet of linkages. Remember? What connects us all? What links energy to energy? So now we have this ability with the electricity of Uranus in a fresh new sign of linkage. Okay? Now, it's only happened after it's, in a way, breaking free from Taurus. Taurus is about shakes and breaks in existing Earth, which means that it will crack up and it will aid the shift of stagnation, right? Or existing reality, because that's all Earth element, right? So in the past 2.5 years, 3 years, it's been doing more of that work, helping us crack out from the existing reality or helping us remove ourselves from lack of growth, stagnation, deep-seated trauma and so on, right? And now it's finally going into this fresh, electrifying possibilities all around type of energy that is in Gemini, and it starts on July the 7th, which coincides with generally the official start of the goat month. Right? So this is very, very powerful. Okay, and this is very, very, very significant. Of course, we see the layers, corresponding similar layers of the energy in the Chinese astrology as well, but isolating this out as an additional element for you. So if all of this is Greek, this is hopefully clear to you, which means that whatever opportunities that you want to transcend, especially if you've done all as much as you can, the internal breakthroughs, you also embrace energy, right, in all its forms, which means that, look, if you really want to improve, you have to go through the extension of the energy. You have to put energy into it as well. You cannot complain that it's a lot of work, it's a lot of problem, it's a lot of things to fix and all that, right? So we all have different variations of our lazy humanness answering to that, right? But if you've already done a lot of work, then this is a gift that you should definitely capitalize on, okay? Right? And then we have it preceded by Venus. So Venus, which is more day to day, which is air energy, it's also very heart-based, heart chakra based, right? So this is preceding it. It's earlier one. It moves earlier into Gemini, which then Uranus will slowly follow through, because Uranus is a much bigger orbit than Venus, right? So that means we have the seeding to it, right, by the Venus energy, heart, feeling, right? Trusting the heart and be able to process everything more through heart, okay? That it's going to be leading the way into how you can possibly capitalize on the quantum leap possibilities available now that Gemini is moving into, Uranus is moving into Gemini. Now, of course, because it's a bigger planet, so that cutoff date, this is the official date, but of course, the energy has been transiting into it already, especially now we're in July already, right, from the calendar perspective, okay? So now, just a bit on this retrograde of Mercury, right? So it happens in Leo, officially after, around the mid-month period. Then a few days later, the sun, which is the day-to-day solar star energy that powers our life, right? Then it moves into the season of Leo as well. So coinciding, right? And then it pushes through to Lion's Gate, which is basically the peak of Leo, right? Leo season. That's why 8/8 thereabouts, right? Which is the start of the monkey month, but it's the middle of the Western Leo month, shall we say? Put it that way, right? And it's covering the entirety of the Mercury in Leo retrograde. Then the retrograde will finally end on August 11th for the official date there, and then it will move direct all the way to September 2nd, which means whatever revision of our soul's path, our new soul's path and desires that we go through, right? So most of it is during the retrograde period, which ends on August 11th. Then for the rest of the August month, it will revisit it back in a forward-moving sense, which means now I have looked into this, I have revised this, and now I will use this revision to move forward. So that's the shadow part, which lasts until September 2nd, right? So whatever that is coming up in the second half of July will have its energies playing out and the opportunities opening up, if you want to capture them, into the rest of August. So that's why August is also very powerful. It's also, in a way, you can say it's very magical as well, right? But we will get to August when we get there. But now, of course, understand how the transition occurs in the mid of July onwards. So the retrograde theme is the reassessment, reevaluation, and then be able to relink our soul's path in a modified way forward. That's what we have second half of July and then the rest of August as well, right? So first reassess, reevaluate, then after that mainly in August, from around the start of the monkey month onwards for the few weeks there, then we will have the ability to craft that new path forward in a revised, revisited sense. Okay, so that's why I've divided the timeline roughly of July into these two halves. Right, the first portion, of course, is up to about the retrograde period. So I just put it right at 18th itself, where it's about what? Being very cognizant of the pressures that the earth is triggering us to look into so that we can crack through it and then use the inferno of fire to transmute all of it. So obliterate away the stagnation. And then at the same time be able to create the new that we want, right? So that's the first half. Second half is similar, but now, of course, what we have is the ability of the retrograde, right? Right on the retrograde and the end, second half of the July goat month, right? To revise. So that's the additional slight little thing. But they're all very similar and they're all interlinked. So I just put this into these two halves, right? For a way to quickly look into things, yeah? So, and then just one key thing that I want to highlight as well, yeah? So when we end summer and we go into autumn, okay, so we cross this pathway that is basically, it's correlated to the Western saying of the summer dog days, the dog days of summer, right? Which is a reference to the hottest period of summer, right? So some ways to look at it is that way. And then at the same time, it is also the official dog days that is correlated to traditional Chinese medicine, for example, right? The Sam Fu Tin, right? The 3 periods of the dog days as well. So Jessie has shared that before. I think she will probably speak about this during the navigating talk itself. But this is not only a time to realign our personal energy from a TCM perspective, but it's also a time to realign our energy from the overall perspective. So, and it's always correlating to some time in the later part of July into early August. So it is also acknowledged as the hottest period in a lot of the European cultures as well. So that's why it is very interesting to honor this, right? So that's why we need to follow the cycle as much as we can within the context of what I shared with you as well. And this year is very powerful because it's very much aligned with what? The timing of the planetary movements and the retrograde, for example, in this case, yeah? So the official Sam Fu Tin actually starts on July the 22nd, July the 20th, and then after that, the middle portion starts in, I think, August 30th, and then the final portion starts on August 8th, which is also the Lion's Gate, and it's also the transition into the Monkey Month, which is a very powerful and different Monkey Month because it continues the fire element much more than any other Monkey Month in some other years. So that's why there's a continuation there. I just want to share that with you. If you understand it, great. If you find it a little too much info, then it's okay. Well, just try to process it by the replay. And then also if you're participating or navigating portion, we have that as well. So that's why a lot of things in the past couple of days are converging towards that period of time. That means end July into the first week of August. Okay, so we are having some things which are going to be revealed soon, plan for that. So I'm probably going to be putting on my next inner work workshop on that date, August 8 itself. So I will confirm it, and once that is confirmed, because this really only clicked in this past couple of days, right? From the forecast analysis to preparing to present tonight's information. And then also the Lionsgate is special. It's not just any other Lionsgate. So I'm not so, you ask me what is my main motivation. It's not so much that, but it just so happens to coincide into that. So I have to look into a little bit more information on that as well in terms of what the alchemy possibilities now that Uranus is in Gemini. Right, so I'm very excited about that. So I hope to bring this more opportunistic, taking control of your own control of what you want to create, what you want to manifest, and using the electrifying new possibilities which are open now that Uranus is in Gemini. Okay, so watch out for that, and we will be sharing more information, because at the same time we also want to make our studio in Casa Utama, more productive to be able to help you and to be able to serve you as well. Okay, so now let's bring back the ground, but let's also then go straight into the things to share as well. Yeah, so a quick hello to May L Tan, Lawrence Fu, right? People who are watching from my page here, right? Have any questions? Do say hi, right? Hi to Yen, hi to Al as well. Also, Yen is on both pages. Okay, thanks for saying hi. So I've been talking about navigating period 9. A lot of you have already got your tickets to this. So this is happening next Saturday, presented by our founder Jessie Lee. Right, how to maximize and navigate the second half of the year, especially from July onwards. This is, of course, co-sponsored or sponsored rather by J Group. That's why it's such an affordable ticket price. So please come, and please get your friends and all that to come as well, in case they are interested in, of course, listening to how best to maneuver the rest of the second half of the year, and also to the amazing insights that Jessie will be sharing as well. Okay. Then we also released quite recently, and many of you have already bought your tickets to this, right? On 23rd August is Face Forward. Basically, I wouldn't say simplified, because when it comes to Jessie, her things are not that simple. Okay, it's simple but deep. Okay, that's another way to look into it. So if you want a snapshot into how to powerfully use the art of face reading to your advantage, and then how best to work with the energies of period 9. So of course there will be some correlation to recognizing, right, facial features and all that that tally or match better with the vibration of period 9, or how best to match those characteristics as well. So this is happening for Face Forward, right? This is currently at this tier of pricing. So if you've not gotten your tickets to this, please do. That's happening on 23rd of August as well. Yeah, and then of course, now that we're in July, I'm very excited, of course, to continue growing the programs of inner work at our studio in Casa Utama. I hope to see you in the next one, especially if you are in Klang Valley. Okay, so please do, right, come. But I don't have it codified, I don't have it formalized yet, so stay tuned to my page. Like I said, you can follow my public figure page, that'll be really awesome. But of course, I'll be sharing it throughout as well, stage by stage, once I have it. But at the same time, I'm also very excited about doing and continuing the breath work that I do when I do this vocal coaching on 1-by-1, right? So those of you who follow this program, I will get to you to schedule the next session soon, because of course we took a break during the month that I was in Japan, right? So now, of course, this timing is good to go through this vocal exercises, right? Because it consists a lot of breath work, for example, right? Regulating our own chi through the breath and through our vocal vibration. So July will be a very important month to work with this all the way up to August, right? So rest assured, those of you existing clients on this one-to-one vocal energy coaching, I will get back to you very soon, ready as early as tomorrow, to start rescheduling back our sessions, because each block comes in 4 particular sessions. So if you're interested in it, this is again a perfect time to start this, especially for July and then leading into the dog days and beyond into August, because we have that need and the opportunity to do this regulation of our energy, right? Through our breath work, through our breathing, and then through our vocalizing. At the same time also, once we have the ability to tune in this way, then we also have the ability to tweak the way that we work with energy, including the way that we want to work with creation and also manifestation, yeah? So as it is, this is personalized, so I can't take on many. And if you are called to this, then I encourage you to start during this very auspicious, powerful July Water Goat Month. Okay, so that's the things I have to share with you in terms of what's available there for you to subscribe to participate on. Right, so that one, of course, just click on the QR code or just WhatsApp us on our ST number, right, 0129089914 to get linked up with the booking for that if that's what you're interested in. Okay, so any questions? So July Water Goat, very powerful, right? It's very, very amazing. Okay, May says we met at the airport. Oh, I think recently, right, when we came out of that gate. What do you call that gate? My border pass. Okay, I think it was probably there, right? There's a wrong link for. Is it the? Oh, okay. I think that's the link that Jesse put up for. Yeah, you just double check, but I think your links are okay, Nicole. Right? Okay, we'll look into that, Shirley. Thanks for that info. Right? Any question? Any comments? Right. Let's just quickly redo a quick refresh there on my page, Jesse page. I will quickly look at the ST page as well. Right? If all's well, then I hope you're able to capitalize and maximize as much as you can on this very, very powerful timing of the year. Okay, so don't succumb to the pressure. I know you won't, okay? But use the pressure as a way on a mirror reflection as to what needs to be released, what needs to crack up, and then after that, transmute it through release and hopefully completely obliterated, completely destroyed, right? So that you have a new openness to receive new energy and then also to be able to use the new energy in a productive way that you can control, you can steer, so that then you can also be able to craft whatever it is moving forward that you would like to do. All right? So thanks so much, right? Let's just, go back to this, right? So what do we need to change is I just let them know, right, before I sign up, before I sign off. This is the link to what navigating, is it?
Yeah, but it's the same link, but...
Okay.
Wait, no, there's some error with the link.
Okay.
I cannot reshare a new one.
Oh, okay. I think that's a replay link, is it?
It goes to the replay when I put it in the comment, but when it's not in the comment, it's the correct one.
Okay. This one, okay, maybe you can just quickly put. So yeah, so I think there's a bit of confusion with the navigating period 9 link lah. So we will fix it because we'll just adjust it in the comment section of the feed for whatever platforms and pages that we have gone through. Okay, so thank you so much. Right, just quick. Okay, that's it for now. Right, thanks so much for joining in the July forecast per se. Like I said, I already feel the Water Goat month has already started. So I hope you're able to use the energies in the most productive way, but a lot of it is about doing the inner work. A lot of it is about embracing that aspect of it, right? To be able to work with that so that then you have the energy freer and more energy for you to basically master, like I said, control, and then use it in a way that you yourself are in control of. All right? So thanks so much. Right, if you're watching this post live, please do share out the feed to your timeline. And then also, if you can help me out by liking and following, right, my official public page, that would be really appreciated. I thank you in advance. And it is bye-bye for now, right? Take care, have a wonderful, productive, awesome, a fruitful, transformative Water Goat month ahead. Thanks.